Welcome, my lovelies. Welcome, family, to Mama Beyonce. And I am your host, and my name is Sandra. Welcome, welcome. Here you would find how to align yourself with spirit, spiritual guidance, and spiritual messages, along with inspirational stories. I'm going to plug my mic. And we welcome to my new subscribers. Welcome. Today's topic is um, the importance of educating yourself, not only spiritual, but, you know, educational wise, mental, right? Um, Schooling yourself in certain topics um, that call out to you, whether it's physics, mathematics, uh, biology, spiritualism, which we are being taught that all is combined, right? So a little bit about my religion, and not only, there's a bubble of spiritualism, right? As I spoke before, many videos ago, we are from a tree of knowledge, if you want to call it that, or a tree of life. And then that tree has many branches. And we all up on there, all religion, Catholic, Jehovah, Wicca, Buddhism, um, the Aruba religion, voodoo, Sanse, and the list could go on. And those branches have little branches within themselves, as Santeria and or the Aruba religion, right? So we spoke about that many times, and how we are all in one tree. You know, the problem is that many times we fight amongst each other for who is right, who is praying the correct way, who knows more, who has the right God, etc. And we lose track. We lose track of the mobs of the world. We lose track of who is in charge. You know, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, that I like to quote him, my grandson-in-law, that he said that, Jesus is going to come down, and he's not going to look for the label Catholic on your forehead, or Jehovah, or Buddhism, or Krishna, Elohim, you know. He's going to be looking at your intention, what's within your heart, okay? Your faith is what's going to carry you over, you know. And until we don't see that and we understand that, many of us fall short, okay? But anywho, we're going to speak about the Aruba religion, and how you know it's crossed, they say African Cubanos, because of the slaves that were brought into Africa. And not only Africa, but many of the islands and throughout the whole entire world. And as we know, they were called pantheons, right? They brought their own form of praying and honoring their ancestors, which they were chopped down for doing. And as I said before, we're still being shot down. But the truth of the fact is that we're here. You know, call us what you may. We are here, and it's a beautiful religion. just just as the an herbalist, a healer, you know, um, those witches back in the yesteryears that they used herbs to heal people in their village. They were called witches, and actually they just knew, they had schooling, they understood how that herb would function and what it would produce on a person's body, right? So my lovelies, my family, which I love so much, we have to think outside the box. And what you don't understand, do research. It's very important that you do research, you know, when not only when you're trying to align yourself with spirit, you know, in our everyday living, you know. We go out and we research a property of a land that we want to. We just don't buy the land and move in, right? Well, I hope that you do some research on the property and have some professional people come and look at it and tell you the format, floor plan of the land, right? Or how well is the foundation, and that's why where I'm gearing you towards, okay, to fortify, to make strong your foundation in the spiritual journey that you are taking. Okay, so in the African Cuban uh, Lukumi pantheons, the what they call today the Yoruba religion. This comes from eons and eons, and we could say more eons ago, right? This goes even further from the slaves, further back from the slaves. But the slaves, they carried it into uh, across the ocean, if you want to say. Anyway, so this religion, this form of living, has been, you know, in the world for centuries. Is my point, okay? But as time has gone by, you know, many people were practicing um, underground, in the basement, you know, behind closed doors, and in a shh mode. But I forgot his name. Oh my God, the one that did the car trains. Um, he he was a doctor. He was a physician, and he used to practice medicine by the phases of the moon. Okay, and he used to take herbs and mash them up at certain times of the phases of the moon to heal um the patient, right? Doesn't our herbalist does the same thing? um I'm going to remember his name in a minute, but you guys know who I'm speaking about. um he has a fantastic story, so maybe you could do some research on him. And Nostradamus, there you go. So it goes even further back than that time. So the one that really brought spirituality, espiritismo, um, to the front line is Alan Cardell. Alan Cardell. And I'm going to play something for you in a minute, a little bit of his story, but you could look him up in on the internet. You know, just Google his Alan Cardell, the spiritualist Alan Cardell, okay, and he will come up, okay. Um, so I'm going to give you a few basic information of him and how this became to be, and you could do homework yourself, okay. Um, he uh he founded the spiritual movement, and well, he brought it to the front line, okay. As you're going to hear, he was a scholar, he was a scientist, and a uh he loved to deal with numbers and philosophy, okay. He was a grand teacher, and the way he got into spiritualism, he was not a spiritualist, he was not a medium, but he was very interested in this elements, and how they function, and why do they function the way they do, as we've been doing fire, air, water, and earth, the elements of life. So in the short story, he someone had told him, to come and investigate, because there was going around in the country that there was a spiritual table that was turning, and as it turned, it would give messages to the people. So he denied going a few times, but his colleagues twisted his arms, and finally he went, and he was intrigued. He was intrigued. So he did his little footwork, and he asked questions to other people in other parts of the world, that what did they think about this. And you're going to read that all of them came back with the same answer, which was intriguing to him. So he did further study, and he really got into the spiritual world, journey. And he found out through a medium his actual name was not Alan Cardell or Alan Cardell. Um, I won't say his name because I'll chop it up and mess it up. But he was born in France. So he a medium told him that in one of his incarnated life, he was a shaman, you know, and then his name was Alan Cardell, you know. So he thought that was a great idea because he was writing books for children in school, and philosophy and arithmetic, etc. So he wanted to do like a ghostwriter type of thing. So he ran with the name Alan Cardell. So without any further ado, I'm going to show you. Hopefully you can see it. Let me see where I marked it. I don't want to hold it upside down. This is one of his books, The Selected Prayers. Hopefully you can see it. Okay. There will be doing some teachings from that book very soon. So on to my recording. Okay. Let me see if it goes on.
Ready. Battery medium.
Okay, excuse that.
A. Alan Cardell. Heading 1. Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivel was born in Lyon, France, on October 3, 1804, in a traditional family, greatly distinguished in the legal profession and court system. He did not pursue those careers. From his youth, he was inclined toward the studies of science and philosophy. Denizar.
That is his
Educated in
name.
the renowned school of Pestalozzi in Verdun, Switzerland, he became one of that celebrated teacher's most eminent pupils and one of the most zealous propagandists of the educational system that exercised a great influence in the reform of the educational system in France and in Germany.
He was a translator.
Educated in Endowed with a notable intelligence, he was drawn to teaching due to his character and his special aptitudes. At 14, he had already started to teach what he had previously studied to some of his schoolmates, who had assimilated less than he. It was at that school that the ideas originated, which would later categorize him in the class of the progressive and free-thinker individuals of the day. Endowed with a notable, although he had been born under the influence of the Catholic religion, he was educated in a Protestant country. The acts of intolerance that he witnessed under these circumstances led him at an early age to conceive of the idea of a religious reformation, in which he labored silently for many years with the ultimate aim of achieving the unification of the faiths. He lacked, however, the indispensable element for the solution to that immense problem. YouTube video player. Spiritism came to light, at this time, to imprint in his mind the particular direction for future undertakings. Spiritism. As soon as he completed his studies, he returned to France. Being thoroughly knowledgeable in the German language, he translated into German a variety of works on education and on morals and, what is uniquely characteristic of him, the works of Fenelon that had seduced him in an intriguing way. As soon as he completed, he was a member of several societies, one of which the Royal Academy of Arts that, in the competition of 1831, awarded him notable recognition on the following subject, which is a system of study more harmonious with the needs of the time. From 1835 to 1840, he established, in his home, at Sevres Street, free study courses on chemistry, physics, anatomy, astronomy, etc., an accomplishment worthy of commendation at any time, but, above all at this time in which only a few illuminated minds dared to follow that path. Among his numerous, always concerned with making the educational system more appealing and interesting, he invented the ingenious method of teaching to count and a mnemonic picture of the history of France, with the objective of fixating in the memory the dates of major events and discoveries that illuminated each reign. Among his numerous works to foster education, we will mention the following: Proposed Plan for the Improvement of Public Instruction, 1828, a practical and theoretical study of arithmetic, according to the methods of Pestalozzi, for the use of teachers and mothers, 1824, Classic French Grammar, 1831, a manual of the examination for the titles of capacity, rational solutions to the subjects and problems in arithmetic and in geometry, 1846, Grammatical Catechism of the French Language, 1848, Program for the regular courses of chemistry, physics, astronomy, physiology, which he taught in Lyceum Polymatic, normal dictations of the examinations of the municipality and of Sorbonne, followed by special dictations regarding orthographic difficulties, 1849, an accomplishment highly regarded at the time of its launching and from which new editions are still been published today. It can be seen that even before Spiritism had become popularized, Alan Cardell, through his Celtic pseudonym, had already become well known, through the varied nature of his accomplishments in the educational system. His works always had the objective of illuminating the masses and of uniting them better to their respective families and countries. It can be seen that even before Spiritism had become about the year 1855, the spotlight focused on the subject of the manifestations of the spirits, and Alan Cardell became dedicated to persevering on the observations of that phenomenon, and cogitating mainly in deducing its philosophical consequences. He could see, at once, that these phenomena were the beginning of new natural laws, the ones that govern the relationships between the visible and the invisible world. He recognized, in the action of the invisible world, one of the forces of nature, whose knowledge would throw light on the immense problems that until then had been considered insoluble, and he understood its reach, under the religious point of view.
In 1855.
About the year 18... His main works written on this subject are, the Spirit's Book, concerning the philosophical part of the doctrine, and whose first edition appeared on April 18, 1856, The Medium's Book, Concerning the Experimental and Scientific Aspect, January of 1861. The Gospel According to Spiritism, Concerning Moral and Ethics, April of 1864. Heaven and Hell, or the Justice of God According to Spiritism, August of 1865. Genesis, The Miracles and Predictions According to Spiritism, January of 1868. Review Spirit, a monthly newspaper of psychological studies that had begun on January 1st, 1858. His main works. On April 1st, 1858, he founded the first Spiritist society regularly constituted, under the denomination of Parisian Society of Spiritist Studies, whose deliberate objective was the study of whatever could contribute toward the fostering of this new science. Alan Cardell defended himself with total foundation for having written something under the influence of preconceived or systematic ideas. As an individual with a cool, calm nature, he observed the facts and from his observations deduced the laws that govern them. He was the first one to present the theory regarding such facts and to organize them into a doctrinal body, methodical and regular. On April 1st, he demonstrated that the facts, which previously had erroneously been considered supernatural, were actually subject to the universal laws. He classified them under the phenomena of nature, thereby eliminating the last refuge of the wonder and one of the elements of superstition.
As I say, energy.
He demonstrated that during the first years of the introduction of the Spiritist phenomena, they were considered more an object of curiosity than of serious meditation. The Spirit's Book caused the subject to be considered under a totally different aspect. The turning tables that had merely been a prelude were discarded, and people started to pay greater attention to the doctrine that embraces all the subjects of interest for humanity. During the first year, the date of the launching of the Spirit's Book was the foundation of Spiritism, which until then had only counted on scattered elements without coordination, and whose reach most people could not understand. Starting from that moment, the doctrine attracted the attention of the serious-minded people and took a rapid development. In few years, those ideas overtook numerous followers in all social circles around the world. That unprecedented success took hold, without a doubt, due to the sympathy that such ideas inspired, but it is also largely due to the clarity with which they were presented, which is one of the characteristics of Alan Cardell's works. The date of the launching of the Spirit's Book. Avoiding the abstract formulas of metaphysics, he knew how to attract everyone to read about it without becoming tiresome, which was an essential condition to the dissemination of the idea. On all of the controversial points, his argument, of pure logic, does not leave room for dispute and it predisposes the conviction. The material proof that Spiritism presents of the existence of the soul and of a future life tends to destroy the materialistic and pantheistic ideas. One of the most fertile principles of that doctrine is the plurality of the existences, already foreseen by a group of ancient and modern philosophers, and, during theyese last times, by João Reno, Carlos Fourier, Eugenio Su and others. The plurality of existences, however, had been maintained in a state of hypothesis and of system, while Spiritism had demonstrated the reality and the proofs that in this principle, one of humanity's essential attributes resides. From the plurality of existences derived the explanation of all the apparent anomalies of human life, of all the intellectual, moral and social inequalities, allowing man to know whence he comes, where he is capable of going, why he is upon the earth, why he suffers temporarily, and can see, above all, the justice of God. AI Spiritist. The innate ideas displayed in a present incarnation are explained by the knowledge previously acquired in prior lifetimes. Also, the action of men of ancient times that are relived once again explains the progress of the individual and of humanity. The sympathies and dislikes are naturally going to be a result of the experiences and the nature of relationships from previous incarnations. Those relationships, that reunite the great human family of all times, suggests as a base, the advanced principles of fraternity, of equality, of freedom and of universal solidarity, which are the very laws of nature and not mere theory. The innate ideas displayed, instead of the postulate, without the church there is no salvation, which fosters separation and animosity between the different religious sects that have been responsible for so much bloodshed, Spiritism has as its emblem, without charity there is no salvation, which enhances equality among men, tolerance, freedom of conscience and mutual benevolence in the eyes of God.
That's right. Too much pointing the fingers
Instead of
against
the
each other.
postulate, instead of blind faith, which annuls free thinking, Spiritism says, unshakable faith is only that which can meet reason face to face in every human epoch. In order to have faith, a base is necessary, and this base is the perfect intelligence of that which one believes. To be a believer is not enough. Above all, it is imperative to comprehend. Blind faith is no longer a part of this century. It is in fact due to the dogma of blind faith that today we still have such a great number of non-believers, as it tries to impose itself by annulling one of man's most precious abilities, that of reasoning, and of free will. Instead of blind, a tireless worker, always the first to take on a task and the last one to leave it, Alan Cardell succumbed on March 31st, 1869. He was about to reduce his activities and to move to another place, due to the considerable extension of his multiple occupations. Several works which were about finished, or that were awaiting the opportunity to come to light, will one day demonstrate the extensive power of his concepts. A tireless, he died as he lived, working. He had suffered a heart ailment for many years that could only have been counteracted by means of intellectual rest and lessened physical activity. However, since he was consecrated to his work, he refused everything that could absorb one single minute of his time and deviate him from his favorite occupations. What happened to him occurs to all the souls that have a strong temper. The sheet dulled the blade. He died as he lived. His body became numb and could no longer perform the services intended by his spirit, while his spirit remained, more and more active, more energetic, fertile, forever enlarging the circle of its activity. His body became numb. In such an unequal fight, his physical body could not subsist eternally. An aneurysm ended his life and Alan Cardell died instantaneously. That left one less individual on earth, but a great name took his place among those that had illuminated this century. A great spirit had departed for the infinite, where all of those souls who he had consoled and illuminated were waiting impatiently for his return. Death, I was saying not too long ago, redoubled its blows in the illustrious arrays. Whom will it now come to set free? He went, as so many others, to recover in space, to seek new elements for the recuperation of his worn-out organism due to a life of incessant labors. He departed to be among those who would be the luminaries of the new generation, to return shortly thereafter with them to pursue and to conclude the task that he had left in dedicated hands.
So, Alan Cardell, Alan Cardell, the spiritualist, that would that many of us spiritualists um are very grateful that he stepped out from the side of well, he kind of didn't, right? Because he was still teaching, and he still is teaching um the world. All right. So you can go seek his book or look him up on here on YouTube. This link, I was not to go savvy with technology, but I'm getting better. Uh, you could look him up at spiritualist Alan Cardell at .com. All right. Is very fundamental spiritually, okay, and mentally. Okay, there he has quite a few books. This book, the Selected Prayers, this actual edition is an old uh, edition, and it's not printed very well. But there are newer editions, newer versions of the same book that has more prayers in it and more explanations of the why do we do a certain particular prayer and when do we do that particular prayer. So you are welcome to do some footwork, okay, my lovelies, and we are going to continue with our ancestral spiritual teachings. And again, you know, Rest in peace, Alan Cardell. And thank you so much for your inspirations and your sharing your knowledge with the world. You know, he has a book also that's where he has sat with these mediums and he's asked the spirit certain questions, and there's answers to those questions. You know, uh, sometimes they're not clear. You have to reread or get a dictionary and decipher, but it's pretty clear. Okay, so you got that cut out for you. I am going to proceed with more because there are many other Franco Devout. I'm going to get the correct name, and Francisco Savior. Another great spiritual book for you to read, and I'll give you some more listings. If not, come on, knowledge does the body good and the mind. Hey, my lovelies. I hope you understood some of that, and take it into your teachings. Okay, my lovelies, we will resume with our spiritual teachings. We have one more element to go, and I'm going to speak to you soon. Meantime, my lovelies, shine as bright as you can and share that out with others. Okay, this is our calling. All right, to to teach, to learn, teach, and share. Okay, my lovelies. Once again, thank you to my new subscribers. Welcome home, and my wonderful family here, Mama Beyonce. I bid you a be blessed and be well. And I am your host, and my name is Sandra. I gotta take the mic off. Go. Hey, come on, smooches. For those that don't know, we do the pucker up. Come on. Mm-hmm. Smooches later. Come on. Oh, you want to give me another smoochie? And my bird is watching me. Come on. Smooches later.
Side key settings. Power off button. Row
Oh
1
no.
in grid 3.